Did you recognize that melody? It's one of the main themes from Dvorak's Symphony for a New World. It was written the end of the 1890s, and it became extremely popular, a symbol of the times, very exciting. And that's what 125 years ago, what was the new world that we were celebrating then? Well, in actual fact, you'll remember it was the fact that people, hundreds, thousands of people, had risked to emigrate from the old world, Europe, out to a new world, to make a new way of living, a new life, new values, great excitement. And this particular piece of music symbolized for all of them what they were hoping for, what they were willing to risk everything for. And we have pictures, in our minds at least, of these hundreds of people leaving their homes and their security to sail across the Atlantic to find a new world to live in, North America. It wasn't the first time, and it's not going to be the last time, but in some ways, it's very important for us at this particular moment. As a human race on planet Earth, we have always been attracted by, forced to go in search of the new world. To leave what was known, what was understood, and search for what was yet still a mystery to us. If you go right back to the first time we knew that we got up and perhaps walked across the sands of the Kalahari Desert, looking for we perhaps didn't know what, or just the basic things in life, a better climate, more food, but also excitement, adventure, and simply because it was there and it was still unknown. Well, this is the story of us as humanity. And 120-something years ago, it was the new world was America, North America. And now, are we still looking for a new world? Yes and no. And it's very important that we discover exactly what our hearts are pulling us towards at this particular moment, where we're in some sort of social crisis. It's not the virus, and we're not going to talk about the virus. We're going to talk about how we are learning to move into a totally new era of our human journey. We're not looking for a new world. We've explored this world. We know what's there. And we know, at least since 2004, with the grace of the Hubble telescope's picture, that this world that we live in has no barriers. It's all ours. We can go anywhere we choose to go if we have the courage and the desire to look for the new world, meaning a new life. We've never stopped exploring this way, being drawn, either because we want to change the circumstances, the world we live in, or because it just is there, and something inside us pulls us towards it. And at this moment when we're speaking now, once again, the human family is feeling the urge to look more carefully, more deeply, to find the courage to explore the totality of the gift we have. It's not really a new place we're looking for, although if we look at our adventures into the cosmos, recently, very recently, a new Chinese endeavor has succeeded. We've got people going to the moon, people aiming at Mars, and what's more, we're sending robots to do it for us. Things are moving, changing rapidly, and in many, many different directions. But the need to explore, the need to find why we are here and the fullness of life that we have been gifted with, God, that is still there. We're still searching, hoping, looking for the fullness of life. And so we have moved already in this century, the last century, much closer to the reality of our purpose on planet Earth. Our purpose is not to get off planet Earth, but to discover why we exist at all, who we are. Human beings caught in the experiences of our body and our psyche, and more. We are a self. We're not just the person, the transitory psychophysical person that lives here for what, 90 to 100 years, and that's it. Myself, the spirit, the unique person, the unique being that I am. I'm looking for that world. I'm looking for myself. The whole of humanity is searching for itself in fullness. And so our journey is one of maturing, not so much a physical adventure of finding somewhere in the cosmos that we didn't know much about, but the inner journey into the depths of our own selves. That is where we're called now. You see, the depths of ourselves, as we know, our spiritual journey is unknown. It's a total mystery to our mind and our sense experience, unless we discover how to enter on the journey and to live in this new world. Okay, we've reached this point where it's the challenge to all of us as human beings. But throughout our history, there have been men and women in every culture and every tradition and every attempt in this world to go beyond the power of mind and to experience the mystery which is the source of life. In many traditions, that source has been called God by many, many different names. But it is the one that alone exists, the one that alone has the power to make me exist. This simple body, psyche person around here on planet Earth for what, 90 years or so? No. It helps myself. Words are difficult. We're having to find a totally new way of expressing our totally new experience at this point. So it was good to start with the New World adventure of 100 or so years ago. But now this is a totally new era, a totally new way of experiencing life. And we're just beginning. So, it takes courage takes a great deal of courage to let go what is known, what can be trusted, and simply go where you don't know what we'll find, except burning within is the desire to meet the fullness of life, to become fully a human being, fully mature. Now, we know how long it takes human maturing, you know, from the newborn baby that you had in your arms until he is grown up and walking in this world. Becoming a human being, socially, physically, psychologically, takes some years and then it's over. But this journey to discover myself, my spirit, is lifelong and beyond it. And we are, as a human family on planet Earth at the moment, at a point where the need to discover the self, to discover who I am, to discover that I am meant to mature, to grow into the fullness of life in all its forms. It's a huge challenge, gift. It's overwhelming, and we'd better get going, because we have known that we were moving into the new era, the era of mystical experience, where we can experience the mystery of life beyond what the mind and the psychological senses and feelings can do. All of us. There have always been a few people throughout our history and our growing up as a family or as the human race, just growing into maturity. There have always been some people who've had the experience and have told us about it, written about it. But now the invitation isn't just to a few men and women here and there across the planet. The invitation is an imperative to all of us. 50, 60 years ago already, a scientist, theologian, that many of you know, de Chardin, warned us. He said then, in the future, we are going to be mystics or we will not be. So, if we take that seriously, here we are. The call of the innermost self, the power, the spirit, the one who alone can, brought everything into existence, brought me into existence, and is calling me into the fullness of life, the self within myself. Great, a lot of words, new ideas perhaps. It's going to, as I said, take courage to say, okay, I thought I knew all about this being that I am, this body psyche. I knew what life was about. I knew why we existed. Now I'm being challenged to be still, listen, and look again, more deeply. The moment is now. And so, because it takes courage, we're going to offer that those of you who wish can meet every Monday, well, the first Monday about of every month for the next few months, so that we know other people out there are being challenged with the same ideas or same questions, and it encourages us to go on. And we also may find that as we share our reactions to the reflections you make today, how helpful it is to share with other people, because we're all searching. We're all searching a new way of being fully alive. The new world. Okay, so here we are. What is it going to really take from me to follow this adventure? It's going to take that I will commit once a month to step right back from the confusion and the demands and the uncertainty of everyday life in today's world. Just take time out. Perhaps only half an hour at a time for a few days, as we're doing this time. Make sure you can stay alone, physically alone, because we need to focus our attention very carefully on the silence within us, and to realize that it's only in silence that we can actually hear the truth. We can actually hear ourselves being called on this journey. Otherwise, the chatter and the discussions of the mind and the feelings just block out any sound of the reality, the truth that is within us. And so, first of all, half an hour once a month, it's not a very serious commitment, is it? But to back away from the everyday life, the plans, the hopes, the works of everyday life, just to take yourself somewhere to sit, to be still, and to listen to the depth of life within yourself. And then to reflect over it with the mind, and then to look around. Who can I share my experience with? Who else is really awake to the fact that humanity is called to this journey into the mystery? That we're moving into an era of mysticism, of human growth towards our full potential as human beings. And so, a little time, seriousness about the silence, the willingness to learn how to pull the mind away from all the things, the thoughts, the plans, the memories it's a slave to most of the time, and to listen with a focused attention as to what is going on in my own inner depths, and then a willingness to share, to discuss my experience, and to listen to the experience of the friend or the neighbor or the person I start just talking to in the supermarket. This is the beginning. So this is, of course, not an invitation to a series of lectures. We're not trying to hand on academic knowledge or insights of somebody else. The new world is within us, each one of us. We have to journey towards it. And it's my journey, nobody else's. It's unique to me, for each and every one of us. But if we don't move now, I don't need to outline what could happen. In the future, you will either take being a mystic seriously, or you find you won't even be human. We're going to take one theme or one focus each month. And apart from getting going this month, trying it out, where can I have a really silent space alone? Am I willing to give that amount of time once a month? Of course you won't want to do it once a month. Once you've had your first taste of the inner silence and the attraction of the life within me, not the body-psyche life, but the spiritual life, the life of self, which isn't going to end when my body-psyche dies on planet Earth. Once I've had the feeling of that journey, I'm going to want to make it more often than half an hour once a month. So begin and see where it leads you. I suggest that as a theme, you could take courage to begin with. Yes, I said it takes courage. We won't start on the journey unless we have the courage to devote the time to realize we've got everything to learn, to realize that the pull is stronger than I can resist, the pull to search, the pull to discover my true self is too strong. I can't say no to it. I must begin. And having begun, to share with others. You know, it really will be a new social existence for our human family when we can share automatically everything that I have and somebody else also needs but doesn't have. And I can take what somebody else offers me of their goods, their experience, their emotions, their fears, and their joy in the mystery. You know, we all of us need to take any one of these challenges. They're very simply expressed. That's the best. The simplicity doesn't hide the truth. It makes it clearer. So to take any one of these ideas and give yourself time to think about it without at the beginning saying, well, I think that's right, I think that's wrong, and that won't make any sense, etc. Without judging it and putting it in a category of value before you have explored it, before you have listened to it, before you have learned from it. So this month, courage to do that and just to accept it's not a new thing. The human family has been journeying like this, an adventure into the unknown, since we first became Homo sapiens sapiens. Before we first developed, self-reflective consciousness and can do what other species of life on planet Earth can't do. We can think about ourselves thinking. It's a great adventure. Life is a tremendous adventure. And at this stage, our human family is still very young. We've got a great deal to do to really begin to mature into the fullness of life for which we were created. And so, giving some time to go back over some of these words, rejecting them, accepting them, but exploring them. See what they say to you. Then sharing it out with somebody. See what it says to him or her and what you learn from that. A new world, a new era. It's already begun. We shouldn't really waste any more energy on anything that is less important than this. Yeah? So, I look forward to the adventure you will have during the next month, and to my own, and to what I'll hear from others and be able to share with others. So this is a little different. It's not a lecture, as I said. It's an encouragement to begin researching for yourself. For yourself. For that true self that is beyond the body psyche and the limits of this very transitory experience in space-time. Into the mystery of life, maturing into the experience of mystery, becoming at home with mystical experience. It's up to each one of us. We can only do it on our own. The interesting thing is, of course, that although nobody can do this with me, I am alone, each one of us, I suddenly become more conscious of my relationship with all and all that exists, being part of the whole movement of life, developing into its fullness on planet Earth, or in the International Space Station, or wherever. This is the real journey. And so, have courage, let